Hello everyone, I'm Elle ISO Elohim, a very pregnant mother whose firstborn was due last week. While I'm very excited to meet my son soon, and all of the hardships of this pregnancy have been more than worth it, I'm also hopeful to maximize the opportunity to help others from needing to struggle through them as much. Because of this, I've decided to dedicate this video to sharing helpful pregnancy advice for physical hardships. If you'd like more advice for emotional, financial, or other pregnancy-related hardships not covered in this video, please let me know. While what is covered in this video is by no means an extensive list of possible physical problems, today I will focus on aids for nausea and vomiting, changes in appetite, restlessness, exhaustion, sore and cramping muscles, poor blood flow and quality, Braxton Hicks, and breech baby positioning. If you're only interested in some of these topics, check out the description for timestamps and skip ahead. Either way, let's go ahead and dive into these a bit more. Nausea and vomiting. This first topic has been the most tedious physical problem for me. While most people don't have to deal with morning sickness beyond the first trimester, I'm almost 41 weeks pregnant and still dealing with the nausea all day long and throwing up almost every day. On the bright side, I've had plenty of time to experiment and have found the following to help. Number 1. Hot cocoa. While hot peppermint tea is what is typically recommended to soothe upset stomachs, personally, hot cocoa has been my stomach's ultimate life raft this pregnancy. During my first trimester, a friend shared her positive experience of hot cocoa helping and suggested I give it a shot. I brushed it off for a while, but have since disproved my doubts 100-fold. Before, during, and after meals, sipping hot cocoa seems to help any and every time I'm trying to prevent or recover from vomiting. While it doesn't eradicate the problems entirely, it's still the most helpful aid I have found. Number 2. Hard pretzels. In the first 2 trimesters, eating super salty mini pretzel sticks as soon as I woke up seemed to help my stomach absorb the acid and settle it enough to get started with my day. They don't help as much as they used to, or as much as hot cocoa does, but are still in the running. Number 3. Preggie Pop Drops and other sour candies. Sucking on Preggie Pop Drops, a hard sour candy made with essential oils, was my top go-to during my first trimester and a half. Unfortunately, they seemed to make me even more nauseous if used directly after meals, and lost effectiveness the further into the pregnancy I got. Still, they have helped incredibly so many times and are worth trying. They're a bit harder to find, but a pack of 21 is available for $4.95 at Motherhood Maternity. I will leave the link in the description below. Alternatively, other sour candies may work just as well, if not better. Once Preggie Pop Drops stopped helping me, Sour Patch Kids took their place quite nicely, but aren't as healthy and thus aren't utilized as often. You will have to weigh those options for yourself and decide how to proceed. Now, for things that made my nausea worse. Number 1. Brushing my teeth. Unfortunately, a lot of times when I brush my teeth, I end up throwing up and needing to repeat the process a few times before I'm finally successful. To try to protect my oral health as much as possible, while avoiding making it worse from all the extra stomach acid threatening to come up, I found using mouthwash, alcohol-free of course, instead has helped me to retain some of my food. If I do okay with that, I'll proceed to brushing with toothpaste or just with water if that still seems too intimidating. Either way, at least I do what I can and know how to gauge what that is. Number 2. Drinking too much water. Water is so vital to daily life, and when 2 lives are in the balance, you need to drink all the more. Unfortunately, drinking more doesn't help if even less stays down. I try to combat this by constantly carrying a large water bottle with me and drinking smaller amounts more frequently, refilling my bottle each time I run out. This makes it a lot easier to stay hydrated without giving my body too much to handle at once. Additionally, know that sparkling water may be easier to keep down. I still have to sip it, but at least it hasn't made my stomach worse when I do. Number 3. All things ginger. For a lot of people, ginger can actually help alleviate morning sickness and other problems causing upset stomachs. Non-alcoholic ginger beer, ginger gum, and ginger tea have all been praised for helping, but personally made me throw up all the more. As everyone is different, they may be worth trying, but I'd advise proceeding with caution and being prepared in case you do have a bad reaction similar to mine. Also, note that you may have a different experience during pregnancy than you do otherwise. I loved eating pickled ginger before I got pregnant, but have needed to take a break from it for now. Changes in appetite. Before I got pregnant, I used to be an extremely health-conscious selective eater who ate tons of fruits and vegetables and didn't even consider eating foods with any high fructose corn syrup, artificial sweeteners, food colorings, hydrogenated oils, or too much sugar, to name a few things. Since becoming pregnant, however, I've had such a hard time finding foods that I want to eat and am able to keep down. My recommendations are the following. Number 1, eat what you can. Number 2, eat when you can. Number 3, don't stress too much. Obviously, there are some major stipulations to this one. Take your doctor's advice first and foremost. Also, no matter how hard it is to eat other things, still don't consume raw fish, fish high in mercury, raw meats, unpasteurized milk products, raw eggs, or anything alcoholic. Also, be sure to limit caffeine. Those disclaimers said, if all you're able to stomach is fast food, eat it. It's still best to consume as healthy of foods and drinks as possible, but if you're trying your hardest, be okay with needing to settle for less sometimes. Junk food still has more nutrients than no food. Restlessness. The bigger I get, the harder it is for me to be comfortable. My best advice for this one is to experiment a lot. Here are some things that may help. Number 1, strategic pillow placement. Using a C-shaped pregnancy pillow has helped me immensely. My husband, on the other hand, is not as fond of my pillow using up more of our bed than he does. If you decide to go with a pregnancy pillow, keep in mind the available space versus required space to save yourself from some further future hardships. If your room is more limited, using multiple smaller pillows may be a better solution. When my husband and I need a bit more room to breathe, I save space by using a normal pillow underneath my head and another in between my knees. It doesn't help as much with back and belly support though. Number 2, toss and turn. While doctors recommend sleeping on your left side after 20 weeks for optimal blood flow, sometimes the only way to drift off is to try a lot of different positions. Curl up, stretch out, see what helps most. Number 3, consider taking Unisom. If you've tried everything else, consider asking your doctor about taking Unisom, pregnancy-approved sleep aid. You could get it over the counter, but if you decide to try it, know that it is a medication and be aware of the side effects. For me, the wonderful drowsiness it provides to help me fall asleep within half an hour of taking it doesn't fade when morning comes, and it is much less wonderful to be all the more exhausted the entire next day. Knowing this, I only use it when I'm desperate. Exhaustion. Even with the tips provided to help ease restlessness, with a baby growing larger and larger inside you, being tired is normal. To try to minimize the struggles this may present, I recommend, number 1, get more sleep. Whether it means taking naps throughout the day or sleeping extra at night, make sure you're doing what you can to get enough sleep. When the baby comes, you won't have the same privilege of sleeping on your own schedule. Number 2, when you can't do much, do what you can. Some days I'm so tired that even sitting up is rough. With as much as required of everyday adulthood, let alone preparing for a new baby, I can't afford to go a day without getting anything done. To accomplish more, I try to have backup plans of things I can do sitting or laying down. Don't take as much physical energy when I don't have it. Likewise, there are days when my exhaustion affects me most mentally. On these days, I try to focus as much as I can on doing things that require more physical activity. I understand that not everyone is able to adjust their required tasks as much as I've been blessed with the opportunity to, but if you can, it's worth attempting in order to maximize your time and effort. Number 3, get tested for anemia. If you're excessively tired, you may wish to get tested for anemia sooner versus later in order to start treatment quickly and avoid making it worse. If you do have anemia caused by iron deficiency like I do, realize giving into caffeine cravings may actually deplete you of even more energy than it temporarily provides. Caffeine, especially that of tea and coffee, can block your body from absorbing a lot of iron that it can't afford to not receive. You will probably be prescribed an iron pill as I was, but ingesting larger amounts will be pointless if you're preventing your body from utilizing it. Sore and cramping muscles. Before pregnancy, I already had a bunch of pain disorders and muscle problems. During pregnancy, however, they've only continued to get worse. Here's what's helped me, and may help you too. Number 1, use heat. Whether that means using heat pads or taking a warm bath or shower, let your muscles relax by soaking in heat. Additionally, if you go with the bath version, adding Epsom salts may provide further relief. Number 2, stretch. As hard as stretching can be while pregnant, especially when the muscles are even more sore and tight than normal, Stretching them out may be your next best bet at getting them to stop tensing up so much. Number 3, massage deeply. Massaging muscles and working out the knots, tensions, and stress feels incredibly amazing. Plus, by using olive oil or a lotion, you can also hydrate the skin as you stretch the muscles. If you can afford a professional masseuse, it may be worth looking into, but if not, there are still lots of other options. Personally, I massage what I can and ask my husband for his help with what I can't. We also just picked up Wahl's Hot and Cold Therapeutic Massager, and I've greatly appreciated using it and having it used on me for further assistance. You can pick one up in stores or online at Target for $30.49, and I'll leave a link in the description below if you'd like to check it out for yourself. Poor blood flow or quality. Having blood lacking in essential nutrients or being obstructed may also cause sore and cramping muscles, unless the solutions to those and these may work towards each other. Also, while anemia is a poor blood quality condition as well, it causes problems more specific to exhaustion and was mentioned there instead. If your poor quality and or flow of blood is causing soreness and cramping, however, here are some additional things you can do. Number 1, avoid tight clothing. Wearing tall, tight socks, especially near the end of the 3rd trimester, has hurt a lot worse than it's helped. If you're dealing with swelling, I recommend switching from socks and shoes to barefoot and sandals whenever possible. Number 2, consume more potassium. If your blood is lacking in potassium, try eating some potatoes, avocados, and bananas. If the lack of potassium has been causing nutrient-deficient blood, and in turn muscle soreness and cramping, symptoms should resolve as your potassium levels rise. Number 3, rule out blood clots. If you can tell there's a blood flow obstruction but can't find an external cause, it may be wise to have your doctor check for blood clots. Deep vein thrombosis may not be the most likely condition for poor blood flow, but the risk is increased during pregnancy and should not be brushed off. If deep vein thrombosis is confirmed, seek medical professional help immediately. Braxton Hicks. While I still haven't gone into real labor yet, unfortunately, I have experienced many Braxton Hicks contractions and in multiple forms. I may be able to update my recommendations postpartum, but for now, consider the following. Number 1, drink more water. On multiple occasions, I've had intense contractions so frequent and painful I thought I might be going into labor, only to find out they were caused by dehydration. Because of this, I'd highly recommend drinking water if you're experiencing any Braxton Hicks to see if they dissipate shortly after. Number 2, download a contraction timer app. It's important to be able to track your contractions so you can tell if they're regular, increasing in speed, and strengthening in intensity. If so, they might not be Braxton Hicks contractions, but true labor contractions. The app I'd recommend highly is called Contraction Timer for Labor Checker/Tracker by Sul-A-AB. I will have the Play Store link below as well. Number 3, when in doubt, call your doctor. Typically, the rule for when to check in with your doctor is when you've been having contractions for an hour every 5 minutes, lasting a minute each. Also, if you're experiencing any leaking or other odd symptoms accompanied by contractions, or if there's any doubt in your mind, it's better to be safe than sorry when it's as easy as calling in. Breech baby positioning. When I was 36.5 weeks pregnant, my doctor discovered my son still had his head up and his butt down. With as much as he moves around, I figured his position wouldn't be a concern until I started going into labor. But research revealed that babies are supposed to be head down by the 34th week of pregnancy. Desperate to help my son flip on his own without the need for a risky external cephalic version or even a scheduled C-section, the following 3 things have helped most. Number 1, prayer. This really should be first for everything, as prayer and praise are so vital for our everyday walk with the Lord and a great way to surrender our lives to Him. My husband and I just recently composed a sermon for our home church all about prayer, so we'll go into that a bit more in detail when we share that video soon. However, the reason I decided to list prayer for this one specifically, despite still praying for the others as well, is because of how much my friends, family, and I all brought this issue before the Lord and poured our hearts out to Him about it. In fact, at my baby shower, everyone gathered around me and laid hands on me to pray that my son would flip. Later that week, he did. Plus, in the meantime, it helped me to give my anxiety over to God and trust He had everything in His hands no matter what happened. Number 2. The Webster Technique. While sacral adjustments are far more likely to help your baby flip prior to 37 weeks, the point at which I was able to start attending chiropractic appointments, they can be so invaluable either way. For me, my left round ligament was way too tight, and this was causing my baby to not have enough room to flip on his own. Within a few hours after the first appointment, he was able to flip. I would recommend trying this method sooner than I did though. Number 3. Walking handstands while swimming. Because of the weightlessness and ease of mobility it provides, water is one of the best aids for flipping breech babies. Knowing this, immediately after my first Webster Technique appointment, I decided to go swimming. I spent most of my time doing walking handstands back and forth in the pool, and when I still didn't feel my son flipping, my mom helped hold my feet up during my handstands so I could use one hand to gently prompt my son's body into a better position. I wasn't successful the first few times, but I persevered, and within the hour, I felt him flip. The doctor confirmed the flip at the following appointment with an ultrasound too. He's still in that position now. The disclaimer here is that no matter how hard you may try to flip your baby, there is no guarantee that you can. Some babies can't go head down because of cord issues that would otherwise threaten their lives. As frustrating as it may be, if you're trying everything to no avail, trust that there's a reason for everything, even if it's not immediately apparent. As with all things, give it over to God and continue to do what you can. Those are all my suggestions for now, but I hope I've helped. I'd love to hear what has and hasn't worked for you guys, so please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know what you think of this slideshow type format. I thought I'd mix it up and try something different to help facilitate easier content absorption. In the meantime, let's close in prayer. Dear God, our Father in heaven, I praise you for this opportunity for me to get to be a mother and for my husband to get to be a father. I pray that if anyone and everyone who's watching this is also being put in the situation of being a new parent, you will help to guide them through all of these hardships and to turn these obstacles into opportunities to praise you all the more and to seek you all the more and to grow with you and to grow as people so that we're strengthened and we're able to help strengthen others who are going through these situations as well. God, I also pray whatever responsibilities and pieces and parts of the body you've called us to be in your kingdom, that we will be able to pursue that more and really join together as your family and honor you in everything we do. In your name we pray, Lord. Amen.